Good morning, dear friends. Have we sound? Yay. I forgot to look up the date. It's Wednesday, July the 8th, 2020. Who would have thunk it? I remember looking forward to 1984 when the Club of Rome said that the supply and demand curves would cross and it would be the end of life as we knew it. And it seems to be hanging on. So first off, I want to thank my colleagues who took over. Thank you, Jim, for Thursday morning, I guess it was, and Gary on Friday, and Doyle on Monday, Gregory Sunday, and Kendall on Tuesday. There, my memory's a little better after being in the mountains. That was less work. And I want to thank the mountains. I have some beautiful pictures I was going to show one or two of this morning, but getting set up took a bit longer than I thought, as always. I went to great lengths to punch holes in the wall to get the internet cables outside. And for the next week, I'm going to be inside, so they're back coming through under the door. Jennifer is leaving tomorrow morning for Colorado to be with a friend for a week. And so I am taking over the house. You wouldn't believe the array of electronics here on the table. So this morning I was working getting it all set up. So hopefully it's all working. Actually, I have a little problem there's a zoom on this camera that I have now, and it's not working. Can't find the control. Anyway, you don't care about that. It was lovely to be in the mountains. It was kind of cold, and the mornings were damp and cold. In fact, everything would get sopping with water. I camped in the end on top of a little mountain, 3,500 feet. So the wind came from the west over the top of the mountain and precipitated all its water on me. But it was also an incredible view. The thing that I did not anticipate was that I was 30 miles east of Estacada, which is 15 miles east of Portland. And guess what there was a lot of? Shooting. There were as many as 5 or 6 locations that I could sort out auditorily, and they were shooting hundreds or thousands of rounds of. There was automatic, semi-automatic, and obviously handgun. But it was amazing to me. And a fellow showed up at my campsite in a truck, and he's a brass gleaner. And he comes around and picks up all the brass from the casings and either reloads them or sells them for scrap. And he had a bucket 2/3 full, and he said, I got $100 a bucket. So this is a huge industry, and there's a lot of noise out there in the wilderness. I'm sure the animals are not fond of that. I wore a crimson sweater that my now long deceased mother-in-law made whenever I went anywhere more than 100 yards from my camp, or less than that. I really didn't want to be mistaken as something that was worthy of shooting, politics or not. So it was still amazing. A full moon, Mount Hood, Mount Jefferson, lots of quiet at night. So a poem for today, fitting for my experience of the last few days. Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake at night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come to the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I'm free. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. And I think it's a 2-poem morning. Instructions for Meditation, Wendell Berry. I go among trees and sit still. All my stirring becomes quiet around me like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places where I left them, asleep like cattle. Then what is afraid of me comes and lives a while in my sight. What it fears in me leaves me, and the fear of me leaves it. It sings, and I hear its song. Then what I am afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings, and I hear its song. After days of labor, mute in my consternation, I hear my song at last, and I sing it. As we sing, the day turns, the trees move. Then what I am afraid of comes, and I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings, and I hear its song. After days of labor, mute in my consternation, I hear my song at last, and I sing it. As we sing, the day turns, the trees move. I don't know that I've ever shown you this beautiful art piece. It's an exquisite, my microphone. It's an exquisite, one-of-a-kind guitar, which is inspiration to its, the person who tends to it. It plays, I've heard people who can really play the guitar play it, and it's really something. I wonder, I didn't check this before. We'll just go see if I can get a signal. How's that sound, okay? I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Just had an afterthought. I'm going to grab something. Are you ready? Ta-da! Entering the world stage. Mindfulness for a Happy Life has been published. It's going to be on Amazon in a couple of weeks, and more will be revealed. Cute little thing. Hooray! Oh, I should show you on YouTube. Mindfulness for a Happy Life. Well, we better get happy, huh? Here we go. So, whether we're sitting in a sleeping bag with a quickly cooling cup of coffee in the damp morning in the mountains, or in the cozy comfort of a dining room, it's always the same, isn't it? There's apparently the same old body, same old mind, and something miraculous. There is consciousness. There is the capacity of knowing and being awake to that knowing. So let's use this capacity of knowing and just drop into the body. It is alive. Awareness and life dancing with each other in this very moment. And as it has done now for so many years, so many thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of repetitions, there is breathing in and breathing out. The very fact of awareness is mysterious beyond imagining. The awareness is not affected by the contents of experience. Dependent upon our conditioning and our biology, experiences are pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. But the awareness in which they occur simply is aware. So let there be room for thoughts, memories, plans, emotions. Feeling very positive about ourselves, feeling very negative about ourselves. Hopeful about the world, hopeless about the world. Let's let all of that go. And let's just be here with this breath. With the body where it touches the chair. Each breath has that mysterious moment of beginning. Not something that we do, something that happens. There is a profound dignity to anicca, change, impermanence. In the mountains, I went to bed very early, 8:30, was awake at 3:30 or so. Too cold to sit outside. And so breath after breath, until the light began, and then sitting with the door open, watching anicca. The light changing imperceptibly in the moment, but inexorably getting brighter. Exactly the same is happening with the breath. Faster. Even faster are the thoughts. But not too fast for awareness to notice them. Why not really surrender, dive into the experience of breathing? Each breath has its beginning. It has its rising to fullness, and then its decline and vanishing. There really is nothing else to do other than be here with what's happening. It's difficult to look directly at the attitude to practice, but possible. Is there some urgency to get somewhere or be different? Is this moment somehow inadequate? It's not that that's wrong, it's just tight. There's an image somewhere of how it's supposed to be, and therefore I will strive to be that image. When instead, this moment might have a lot of desire or disliking or restlessness or fear or sleepy dullness or doubt. It could be a lot of bliss, pleasure. We tend to think, now I've got it, when that's happening. So resting back into this moment. Breathing in, breathing out. Or rather, letting it breathe in and breathe out. Each breath emerges spontaneously at its own moment. It has its own pace, its own smoothness or jerkiness. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's short. In the insight meditation, observing arising and passing away, and discovering more and more intuitively that the self is a construct. It's all about opening to and letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Another possibility is the cultivation of wholesome ways of thinking reflecting that lead to happiness, lead to freedom, lead to insight. One of those ways is remembering how fortunate we are. Doesn't mean we don't still suffer plenty, but remembering, conjuring up, for what in your life might you fire off those neural pathways of gratitude? I can walk this morning. Your hands are probably still working this morning. The heart is beating. Most probably you sit in a warm, comfortable place. Even a few days of camping makes the ease of central heating more apparent. It's so easy to plug in the stove, plug in the hot water heater, the kettle. Quite different to dry off the Coleman stove and pump. And that's the privilege of having a Coleman stove and the proper fuel. Think of all the ways that your life is unfolding exquisitely right now. Of course, there are all the difficulties, all the knots, all the complexities, but we don't have to stay focused on those. There is injustice in the world. There are horrible things happening. In this moment, reflecting upon the good things that are happening for you. This breath, probably rather clean air. And why not, on the in-breath, think a kind thought about yourself or for yourself, like I love you, with your name at the end. On the out-breath, may all beings be happy. On the in-breath, may all beings be happy. In the in-breath, may I be happy. Personalize it. We are encouraged to advocate for this that we take to be ourselves. Breathing in, may I be happy. Breathing out, may all beings be happy. awareness, mindfulness, remembering to remember. Please drop into the life in your feet and legs. Perhaps a little cold there, a little warmth. The life in your arms and hands and fingers. The life in your face. Notice with remarkable intimacy this next breath or two. They're all that matter right now. Inhabiting the life in the face, what you think of as your face. Maybe let a little smile come to the corner of your lips. Just a little, almost imperceptible smile. Notice if this does anything to mood. It's all one system. And then bringing awareness into the eyes, the body, a part of the eyes, the material side of eyes. And then noticing in the mind the intention for eyes to open. And then letting them open. Making the effort to open them, those heavy eyelids. Opening so seeing occurs, seeing. Seeing and moving, maybe stretching a bit. Well, I am pleased to discover and report that I am not broken. I mean, other than the usual neurotic ways. It took only a few days in the woods to remember what's important. To notice how the mind contracts and gets filled with opinions and fears and makes things important that are really trivial. And that out there in the woods, the trees are still growing beautifully. I have a couple of beautiful pictures. Maybe I'll get them together for tomorrow. The snowgrass is just gorgeous. At the altitude I was camping, there's a lot of rhododendrons. Beautiful. The birds are still singing. The clouds forming above and below, changing, constant anicca. They could care less what we humans are worrying about. Not, of course, that there aren't things to pay attention to. I came home a little early, about half a day early, one night, because our dog, my little white dog, Budo, found and killed a skunk in our backyard and came in and lay on the couch and picked as many possible places. It's funny because I wasn't here, but and something happened with our dog Dobby, who's in the hospital still after 3 nights. It looks like she's going to be okay again. Vomiting and diarrhea of blood. Our black lab eats things. So it's not as though there aren't things to pay attention to, but it is very comforting to be reminded that nature is just going on unabated. And it's so great to be able to relax into that. This addiction to thinking, addiction to activism, addiction to there's a problem and I have to fix it. It's really challenging for me. And it's so wonderful to remember that it exists in thought. So I would like to hear what's happening with you. And I think Jim Dalton has an announcement. I saw him preparing it.
Good morning, everyone. I really appreciate how you, Robert, have incorporated music into our practice. A friend of mine sent me a unusual piece of music. It's the America the Beautiful, performed by the lead clarinetist from the New York Philharmonic, and it's just a haunting memorial. So I'm posting the link on Connections, but I'm also posting it here if you'd like to set yourself up for a quiet few moments. It's not like YouTube music where it starts blasting out. It's very very quiet and very peaceful, but it's a memorial for all that we've lost this summer. It's really amazing.
Thanks. Yeah. I must say it's very sweet and comforting to be here and find so many familiar faces. Really. This is my community. Well, in the quiet of this moment, I'm, of course, recognizing some of you that I've known for decades, others just from here. And it's interesting, when a familiar face appears, then there's a string of associated memories that are... It's quite incredible.
Hi, Robert. It's KB. Welcome back.
Hello, KB.
I woke up this morning with this weird realization that...
Wait, I have to interrupt you. What a nice picture of you.
Oh, that's one of my headshots. That's my goofy headshot.
That's pretty.
That's my comedy headshot.
All right. Well, anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just was struck.
No, thank you. I realized I have never been in a bad marriage, but I have had bad relationships. And I just realized that the feeling that is pervasive mood that is that I have been laying on, or that has been the cloud cover over me for so long, is that since Trump got elected, I feel like I am stuck in an abusive marriage that I can't get out of. And that's I think a lot of people may be feeling that same way. And I was just finally able to kind of peg it to that feeling of a battered wife who can't get out.
Yeah. Yeah, Jennifer read me a little something from somewhere. I think it was a third of Americans are having diagnosable depression and anxiety, way up from previously, and for good reason. We're being
Abuse.
we're being abused, and we're being encouraged to hate each other. It's very dangerous.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got refreshed in the mountains. I'm sure we all are. And thank you so much for coming back. 'Cause
Well,
I love you.
I was running out of food, and it is really cold there in the morning. Central heating is really nice. Look at me, I'm in a short sleeve shirt. It's ridiculous. I was extremely comfortable. I took the reason I'm not in the tent is I took the big tent with me. It's a 6-person tent. So I had the place for my chair and the place for my dresser, and the place for my bed. And Jennifer and I each have a 3-inch thick inflatable pad, and I took both. So I was really in comfort. But you can only lie down for so long. I mean, after 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, it's like enough already. I want to get up. So who else? What else is happening out there amongst our beloveds?
Robert, this is Had.
Hello, Had.
Thank you so much for the Wendell Berry poem to start our time together today. I want to know if Wendell Berry has written anything in response to climate change, what's going on in our world right now. It just feels like completely in the face of that poem.
I'm
Piece of
sure he
love.
has. I'm not even. Is he still alive? I am out of touch with that
He is.
completely. Yes, great.
Hi, Robert. It's Tim.
Tim Blood. Hello. Oh, and Janet. Hello, Janet.
Hello. So good to see you. Hey, there's so many bad things about COVID, and I've been trying to focus on some of the opportunities, and one of them is
This.
I don't know. We all
Yes.
we all yearn to hug our friends when we see them. And what I've started doing, and it's partly inspired by you, is a eye-to-eye greeting when I see somebody.
Mhm.
It's very powerful. A 10-second gaze, just quiet into someone's eyes from 6 to 10 to 20 feet, whatever's comfortable. I guess you could do it with a mask. Mostly I'm outside with my friends, so not using masks at safe distances. It can be more intimate than a hug. It's very powerful. So that's one thing. And another is that, as I understand it, the release of the movie version of the play Hamilton was scheduled for about a year from now. And as many of you may know, it is now streaming on Disney Plus, little plug. And for $7 a month, which you can cancel after a month, you can watch Hamilton on your computer or on your TV, Apple TV. And it is very spectacular and very powerful and highly recommended. So I just put that out there. And good to see you again, my friend.
Nice to see you together. Seeing the two of you together on the screen is one of those, with all the history we have, is like this, like tachistoscopic memories. Just boom, 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 boom. It's quite lovely. Thanks for being here. Talk about good fortune. Imagine living in such a way that we can have friends that we've known for a long time, decades. Oh, I know. I have Jennifer's leaving tomorrow to be in Colorado. I'm saying she's on her way out. Very quiet. She's leaving tomorrow to go to her friend's home in Colorado, and she's known her since preschool. Preschool, amazing. I have no connection with anybody earlier than, I don't know. Really, Portland, so 1979. High school, Montreal, it's a long ways away, and I moved away. I could feel bad about that, but then I have you. I need more people in my life from a long time ago.
Good morning, Robert.
Kathleen, hello.
I just wanted to say how rested and wonderful you look. It looks like the mountains were good to you.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
good for your mind and body and soul.
Yeah, I think it's essential for all of us to disconnect and put the stupid computers aside. And stupid, that's not nice. This is a wonderful thing that's allowing me to connect with you right now, but to just have space to go inward and rest and watch the emotions. Oh my, I had 2 bouts of really profound sobbing that came through. All this sadness that's around us and in us, in me. Lots of. I was lying there in my luxurious bed meditating, and there was this conflict going on between 2 voices. And I noticed this spontaneously. One of them said to the other, "Why don't you just shut up?" And I broke out uproariously laughing. It was so insane.
You need to replenish. You're feeding so many people. And I'm so glad that it's fed you well.
Yeah, I'm going to plan something relatively soon again, too, before too long. Oh, and Jennifer's going away for a week. I have the house. Yeah, I have the house to myself. That'll be nice.
Plus, you'll have your shed. Shortly, we'll
Coming
move from
soon.
here
Yeah.
to your shed, which is a whole new chapter for you. And
August 5, yeah.
I also wanted to bring up something that happened to me yesterday. I met with someone that I didn't know before who has two daughters who are nurses. And she said, I live in Issaquah, and her one daughter was working in COVID, and her main job was to put bodies in bags after they passed away. And she said that she put 30 bodies in bags, and that she's has to step aside from her job right now, and she's in trauma therapy. And that every Monday, this mother that I met would go up to the parking lot at Swedish, at the new hospital, and see all the nurses come out of the elevators after their shift overnight and watch them sobbing. And so I think, just knowing your daughter and my niece in San Francisco, the Children's Hospital, and all the nurses and all the doctors have been through so much, and that some of them are in trauma therapy, and it's really worth taking a deep breath and being mindful of and loving of them, to them.
Yeah, I think it's the 19th that Tara gets home.
She deserves a big hug. Big hug.
And a vacation for a while.
When does she go back then? Is she having a break?
Oh, she's not. She's finished her contract in New York.
No, but then what about in Portland?
She hasn't decided, and the job market's very bad. She actually mentioned she might go somewhere else that's on fire. And she's had it, so I am less concerned now, but I am concerned about the trauma. It's been really quite heavy.
I just wanted you to be aware of that,
Mm-hmm.
and just of what that mother said, and just the mindfulness of that mother every week to go up and just be present to witness what they were going through, not to say anything, but to sit in her car and be there as a mother, as a one that loves all of them.
Yeah.
So love to Tara.
Thanks. How's your son? Haven't heard.
In the hospital the 6th time.
Oh,
Yeah. It's rough. Thank you, Robert.
whew. There is suffering, O monks. Birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death. Having experiences we don't want to have. Not having experiences we do want to have. Being with people we don't want to be with. Not being with the people we do want to be with. Is it not time, O fellow travelers, to really look carefully at this thing we call life and set ourselves free?
Robert, it's KB. I put something in the chat. It's some bad news, but I think everybody should know about it. About the antibodies disappearing after 2 weeks with this COVID, and so herd immunity may be impossible.
That's feeling real better.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes. Sorry.
I was looking forward to running to hug Tara because she's had it. I may still anyway. It's very sobering, isn't it? This whole thing is very, very sobering. The life of whatever that was. Having to be much more conscious now. Quite a catalyst for those who can use it for that and don't go to fear and aggression. I just had a ridiculous thought. I was so jealous of those guys up there in the mountains with their AR-15s that I just couldn't wait to get home and go get one so that I too can feel powerful. And well, I guess I don't really want to do that. That'd be insane.
Hi, Robert, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
So, having through my life had bouts of what seemed to be overwhelming depression, and then finding this path and finding some relief from that. Lately, I found myself with periods of those, that overwhelming feeling of depression. But we have a nice, beautiful area. I'm outside a lot, working on reading and everything else. But those bouts would come, and I would notice them, and I would stand up and stand still. And the image that you talked about when you were thinking Burma, and were told just to work on seeing, or just to work on hearing. And I could do that until that wave had subsided. And it changed everything. As have this whole practice of mindful awareness. So, I mean, it is an amazing, amazing discovery, amazing process that really has served me well of late. So thank you for your part in that, which has been over a long period of time.
So, just so I'm hearing you, that you dropped into sense door awareness and being
Yes.
present, which included the grief as well, I presume.
Yes, absolutely.
So you likely felt it much more poignantly than ever before, maybe.
Yes,
And then it too was impermanent,
yes.
blessedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hello, Robert.
Patrick. Hello, Patrick.
Hi. So I have a 16-year-old. My daughter still lives at home, and she's had her life wrecked because her junior year fell apart, not going to school
Yeah.
because of a COVID thing, and the senior year is kind of up in arms. She yo-yos back and forth between being happy and being upset about it. The kinds of practice that we have here is extremely mature and seemingly meant for kind of really mature minds. But with her, we get into long discussions about perceived threats, existential threats, and actual threats. Many of the things that stressed her out, including the things that I talked about, maybe about COVID and the economy, because I'm constantly running on about this stuff. This weighs really heavy on her, but actually it's not a genuine threat to her. And anyway, so I'm at a loss to kind of guide her through this. She doesn't have the shoulders or the life experience to put this into context. And sometimes it seems that the world is falling apart, like there's a volcano right over the top of us. It's about ready to blow the whole thing away. And so I don't know, I'm just looking for some suggestions.
Funny. The mind is so insane. I just had a strange association. Did you ever see Camelot, the play?
Yeah.
You remember this line? The way to handle a woman is to love her, love her, love her. How to love your daughter where she is with such poor ego strength and such little perspective. Some research I read 30 years ago that it was very primitive in a way, where they do much more now, but they gave teenagers not vibrators, things that buzzed. When they sent them a signal, it buzzed, and they had a little form that they filled out if they chose to. What are you thinking about right now? What are you feeling right now? And the reality was that with most teenagers, if they weren't engaged with friends and doing, they fell into depression. And that the self of a teenager is so fragile. Hence all the fads and things. They have to be exactly like everybody else, because they're desperate to have a self. And here she is, bereft of her friendship group and spending all this time with you guys, and it's really hard. And so I see this with my stepkids here, to the degree that they allow it with me, to recognize you really are hurting, and they really want to distract, and they do a lot. The amount of time they spend on their devices and so on. But to just love her where she is, and she'll feel that. And if there's any practice she does, like physical practices are particularly great for teenagers, dance and Tai Chi, and so many of these things are now closed. The workout places, the gyms and things where they do dance aerobics, and so.
Fortunately, the dance studio just opened again, and she's very serious about dance.
Great.
But this sends off a whole nother line of, I'm not good enough, so-and-so is better than me, my teacher said this, I think that I'm doing great, and it's just up and down and up and down all the time.
Birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death. There's one that we don't usually say, which is, do you want to come back and be a teenager again? I mean, it really sucks. I mean, that comparing mind, and there's so much. The TV is it's hypersexualized and hyper comparing, and that's, you have to be so careful what you post on Facebook and Instagram and so on, because everyone's looking, and you better be looking good today.
Yeah. And if you don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, then you're less than.
Oh yes. Clearly. Yeah, I watched with my stepdaughter as she went through some of those years, and she was living here all the time. She's only here half time now, or less. But she had her group of friends. Maybe there were 20, 15. They traveled sort of in a pack sometimes. But then 4 of them or 5 of them would go to the beach. And then they would be sending pictures and videos out to everybody so that the people who weren't there could feel left out. And she did. And then she was the one who was in. And, I don't know. There's a bit of dukkha in the world. How old is your daughter?
She's 17.
17.
Going in to be a senior this year.
Yeah. Well, all you can do is love her.
Yeah, she's a great kid. She's very much like me, and so we have long, engaging conversations.
Oh,
but I'm
wonderful.
afraid sometimes my intensity and my seriousness and my reality check about the world can be a little overbearing.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You mean your reality check when you say, take it easy, nothing matters, that reality check?
I have a very difficult time saying that unless I'm meditating with you.
I see. Well, it helped me to go to the mountains. It's all right. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Lovely to be in your room with you. You got the time really together up there behind you.
So that's my job. I don't run away from context. I run towards context in the way of maps and time and economy and business, and this is my work.
Uh-huh. be hard to know where you really are with all those different hours.
Yes. Yeah, I still mess it up when I have conference calls between different time zones. I should be the last guy to mess that up.
Calendars, yeah. Oh, I've had some of that myself. And then they throw in daylight savings and totally mess it up.
I know, we struggle with that here.
Hey, Robert, it's Russell.
Russell, hello.
Hey, buddy. I want to say it is so nice to see you renewed and refreshed. I know the demands on you are enormous at this time. So many people, and including myself, who look to you for some kind of guidance in the troubling times. And it's really good that you've done that for yourself. I'm really glad to see it. I also want to say that as dim as our political and healthcare life here at this moment, I have an emerging and growing hopefulness, that our sociopathic president and those of like ilk with whom he has surrounded himself, their utter indifference to the level of suffering that is going on, their only interest being keep power and get more money, that the utter indifference will shift more and more of us so that come November, I'm actually thinking there could be a rout. I hope there is. One never knows, but and the last thing I wanted to say was, Patrick, as you were talking, I thought of my own kids, and one of the things that always helped Nancy and I as they were going through their stuff was to remember how undeveloped their brains are, that they literally cannot comprehend the bigger picture, and just our being present to hear them out is so soothing when they choose to avail themselves of that, which it sounds like your daughter sure does with you. So, great job.
Time 8:15. I am not in a rush this morning, but I want to honor the boundary to some degree. Anybody else sitting with something? I see someone sitting with a child. Let me share one more piece of nice news for me. 2 years ago, I entered a raffle at it was called Winter Folk, I think. It's a concert that's been happening for 20 years to help the homeless get into housing. And I joked on it. It came as a beautiful handmade guitar, not this one. And I said to Jennifer, well, I'm going to buy some tickets. I'm going to win that guitar. And I bought 10 tickets, and I won the guitar. And it's a lovely guitar, and I enjoy playing it. And it also came with 8 hours of recording studio time, which my musical capacity makes no sense of. So I gave it to my guitar teacher, Steve Einhorn, and his wife, Kate, and they never used it. And so now there's a need for recording the book. And they quite happily gave me back the time. And so the book is going to be recorded at one of the premier recording studios in the Northwest. It's a gorgeous place up in the gorge, actually. And so we're setting a date for August for that, and he's the man. So things are just falling in place very beautifully. So, anybody got anything to share before we sing our song and go about the next thing, whatever that is? One thing I want to say thank you to Jennifer, who's gone for the day, but she, when I was setting out last night to set up the tent, she said, "Oh, just use the dining room tomorrow and the next day, and then I'll be gone for a week." So I'm going to have the luxury of leaving all my stuff set up, and it was a kind thing for her. I pushed her a little bit because I'm right in the middle of everything, really, right here in our little house. But it's perfect. Okay. So, a voice. Hang on.
It's Emily.
Hello, Emily. Where are you?
I'm quiet. I'm over
You're
here.
very quiet.
Hello?
Hi. I can hear you. I see Russ, interestingly.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. I put it in the chat, but will your book be available on a non-Amazon marketplace if we do not want to support?
Yes. Yes, it'll be available in several other places. It actually is available already at Wipf and Stock, which is the publisher.
Okay.
But yeah, and we'll have it at PIMC, and I'll slip it through the camera here.
Congratulations! I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, it's quite a trip that it's finally out. I got it, and it's like, God, it's so thin. All that work for this little thin thing. Funny.
But Robert, that means that new people won't be overwhelmed.
Oh, thank you, Russell.
Excited to read.
That's cool. Please hang on just a second here. I must attend to this. Oh. Oh. News from the veterinarian. Our dog is not doing well. So, yuck. From Jennifer. Birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death. It's really with us, isn't it? Well, let's sing our song. Where's the kids? Stephanie, there you are. I'm going to unmute everyone. See you tomorrow. Hi.
Bye, Robert.
Ready? A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu. Oops. Sadhu. Sadhu. Elegantly cacophonous. Good night. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day.
Welcome back, Robert.
Glad to be here. Goodbye, dear friends on YouTube.